watching Nick.
Happy Halloween! Last year, I took a look into the early years of how Nickelodeon celebrated Halloween from 1979 to 1999. And this time, we're going to take a trip through the timeline of Halloween on Nickelodeon from 2000 to 2025 in the present day. I won't be covering other associated networks like Nicktoons Network, Noggin or The N, or NickJr and Teen Nick after they get their own channels in 2009, unless their episodes were directly shown on Nickelodeon as well. What Halloween episodes or celebrations do you remember from Nickelodeon? Let me know in the comments. New Halloween premieres this year start in March. With Rocket Power, It Was a Dark and Stormy Day, which aired on the 14th. Then, Hey Arnold, Sid the Vampire Slayer, aired on the 18th. Kipper, the Purple Park Monster, The Little Ghost, and the Costume Party, and Stickin' Around, I Scream, You Scream, were also added on the channel this year in syndication. Nick Jr.'s first Halloween premiere this year was Maggie and the Ferocious Beast, Three Little Ghosts, The King of Nowhere Land, and The Big Scare, which aired on September 2nd. In October, Nick would add The Wild Thornberrys, The Legend of Ha Long Bay, airing on the 10th, and another Nick Jr. show with Blue's Clues, Blue's Big Costume Party, premiering on the 16th. 2000 was a big year for Halloween on NickAtNite, starting with Friday the 13th on NickAtNite, which was hosted by Salem from Sabrina the Teenage Witch on October 13th. The Nick or Treat contest this year was for a party with Nickelodeon characters and snacks provided by Nabisco. On October 28th, Nick had a spooky central night of premieres, starting with Pinky and the Brain, a Pinky and the Brain Halloween, which came from Kids WB. The Wild Thornberrys, Spirited Away, followed by Snick's premiere of the movie Cry Baby Lane, hosted by Melissa Joan Hart, and a 3-part episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? The Tale of the Silver Sight, which was the Season 7 premiere that first aired on the channel back on April 2nd. Then, on October 29th, NickAtNite had a Facts of Life marathon called The Blair Tootie Project, which was made up of episodes focused on Blair and Tootie. On October 30th, Nick Jr. had a Mega Monster Marathon. And finally, on Halloween, NickAtNite would add many new Halloween episodes to their lineup, with The Brady Bunch, Fright Night, The Beverly Hillbillies, Trick or Treat, The Facts of Life, The Halloween Show, and Gilligan's Island, Voodoo. Next, in 2001, the first episode that would premiere earlier in the year and be part of the Halloween lineup was Invader Zim Dark Harvest, premiering on April 20th. All of the other Halloween editions this year would come in October, starting off with an event on NickAtNite called Things That Go Bump in the NickAtNite, which lasted overnight from October 21st to the 22nd. This included Halloween episodes from The Brady Bunch, Laverne and Shirley, The Jeffersons, and new premieres with Different Strokes, A Haunting We Will Go, and Cheers, Diane's Nightmare, and House of Horrors with Formal Dining and Used Brick. On the morning of October 26th, Nick Jr. would add Little Bill, The Halloween Costume, and The Haunted Halloween Party, with the main celebration on the 26th being the spine-tingling, teeth-chattering, hair-raising, spooktastic Nicktoons Boo Fest, airing on this day as well as on the 31st. This included a lineup of Halloween Nicktoons like Rocket Power, Rugrats, SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, and adding Animaniacs, Night of the Living Buttons, and Dracula, and Frankenrunt on the 31st. Along with As Told by Ginger, I Spy a Witch, and finally on the 26th would be a special which included Dark Harvest and Invader Zim's Halloween Spectacular of Spooky Doom. On the 27th, they had another event with the Nicktoons Creepy Teacher Marathon, using episodes from The Fairly Odd Parents, Hey Arnold, Rugrats, Wild Thornberrys, Rocket Power, SpongeBob, and Invader Zim. The last premiere would come on October 29th, with NickJr. adding Dora the Explorer, Dora Saves the Prince, which would be aired with the NickJr. Halloween Spooktacular, which was held on October 31st. (2002) starts out with its Halloween premieres early in the year, with Taina, Scary Legend premiering on February 2nd. With the next two premieres coming from The Cosby Show, Cliff's Mistake premiering on April 17th, and Halloween on July 1st. The last Halloween edition before October was SpongeBob SquarePants: The Graveyard Shift, first airing on September 6th. This year in October, Nick had a few celebrations, starting with their Nick.com Halloween feature, which had a potion brewing game, the ability to record and send screen cards, as well as interacting with trick-or-treaters. The first new addition in October was the premiere of the movie Sabrina: Friends Forever on October 6th, based on the animated series. This was followed by this year's Nick or Treat event, which was held on October 26th and would be the last, ending this tradition for the channel since 1985. This year saw the chance for the main prize winner to go trick-or-treating with some of the stars from All That, and other winners receiving loads of Hershey's chocolate, with the event being sponsored by Hershey. This Nick or Treat would also kick off another event, Shriek Week, which would feature 5 days of premieres of Halloween episodes, as well as a special feature for Keenan and Kel. This event also started on October 26th, with the first edition being All That, featuring guest star Tom Green and musical act Avril Lavigne. This was followed up by the TV special for Keenan and Kel, Two Heads Are Better Than None. On October 27th, Nick would premiere their new competition show Scaredy Camp. On October 28th, the channel added Rugrats: Night of the Werewolf, which originally premiered on VHS earlier in the year on August 27th. On October 29th, the next edition was The Fairly Odd Parents: Scary Godparents. Then, on the 30th, the final addition to Shriek Week would be The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius: The Phantom of Retroland. The very last addition to the network this year would come to NickAtNite, with The Cosby Show: Nightmare on Stigwood Avenue being added on October 30th.
In the dead of night,
while shivering with fright,
all gather round for a spooktacular sight. Amidst the glow of cathode rays, 'tis here you'll find stuff that rots and decays,
and will make you curse the rest of your day.
Whether you're watching alone with the lights all out,
Or with all of your fiends while you scream and shout,
who cares? Keep on shrieking out with Nickelodeon Shriek Week. It's for roast. Happy Halloween.
In 2003, the Halloween episodes start right before October, with Nick Jr. adding Rubbadubbers, Scary Finbar, Red's the Monster, and All Wrapped Up on September 5th. The rest of the additions all came in October, with the first being NickAtNite adding Roseanne: Nightmare on Oak Street on October 3rd. This year would continue the theme from last year's celebration, Shriek Week, which took place during October 27th through the 31st. Starting on the 27th, Teen Nick had new premieres of Sabrina the Teenage Witch of the Halloween episodes, including A Halloween Story, A River of Candy Corn Runs Through It on the 28th, Goodwill Haunting on the 29th, and Episode 81 The Phantom Menace on the 30th. On October 29th, Nick Jr. added Dora the Explorer, Boo, followed later in the day by Jimmy Neutron with Nightmare in Retroville. On the 30th, the premiere started with Chalk Zone, Pumpkin Love. NickAtNite held an event taking place overnight on the 30th through the 31st called Roseanne's House of Horrors, which featured the episodes Boo, Trick or Treat, Trick Me Up, Trick Me Down, Halloween 4, Halloween 5, Skeleton in the Closet, Halloween the Final Chapter, and Satan Darling. On Halloween, Nick Jr. had two editions, with Max and Ruby, Max's Halloween, followed by Maggie and the Ferocious Beast, The Invitation, Trick or Treat, and The Trade-Off. Nickelodeon celebrated the day by hosting a You Pick Live Halloween party, This was an ongoing event, with the cast members of You Pick Live being cursed every day by a wicked witch. The event showed Halloween episodes from SpongeBob, Rocko's Modern Life, Hey Arnold, and had CatDog as its mystery pick. However, this isn't the end of spooky premieres this year. On November 5th, NickAtNite added Full House, Divorce Court, and on November 11th, You Pick Live had a You Pick premiere marathon, where they aired new episodes of each show that was picked that night. This event had games and celebrity guest appearances, but 3 of the premieres this night all fall under the monster category, and were aired during the Halloween season in future years. Starting with The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron, where they premiered Monster Hunt. Next was Hey Arnold with Ghost Bride. And finally, The Fairly Odd Parents in Which Witch is Which.
We'll be right back with more Shriekin Weekend on Nick.
In 2004, the first spooky episode would come out on June 25th, an all-grown-up interview with a campfire. Other early additions were added to NickAtNite with The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Someday Your Prince Will Be in Effect on September 13th, and Hex and the Single Guy on the 15th. Not many additions would be added this year, with NickJr. having another Halloween bash on the 25th, with premieres of Miss Spider's Sunny Patch Friends, A Scary Scary Tale, Lazy Town, Cry Dinosaur, and The Backyardigans' It's Great to Be a Ghost. The only other Halloween premiere in 2004 was Danny Phantom Fright Night on October 29th. This was a part of this year's Shriekin Weekend, taking place from the 29th to the 31st, with the last celebration being on NickAtNite, which again showed their Roseanne's House of Horrors marathon from Halloween night to November 1st.
Shriekin Weekend is coming to Nick.
Welcome to the gallery of misfit monsters. The grim sleeper. Beware, he rises. Or not. The great white forest shark, deadly in the ocean. Lame in the woods. The headless janitor. Bone-chilling, horrifying. No, just a dork. Fear not. Shriekin Weekend continues on Nick.
2005 starts off with early premieres as well. On May 10th, The Fairly Odd Parents premiered Timmy's 2D House of Horror. Then, jumping to September, Cat Scratch would have 2 editions with The Ghost of Cramdilly on the 23rd and Zombie Party A Go-Go on the 30th. Shriekin Weekend would continue into 2005, this year being celebrated from October 28th to the 30th. They had a special Shriekin Weekend Friday Night Slime Time on the 28th, which included another Cat Scratch Halloween episode in Scaredy Cat. Then, on the 29th, Teen Nick had 2 Halloween premieres with Zoe 101, Haunted House, and Unfabulous, The Dark Side. The very last edition this year was Nick Jr.'s The Backyardigans Monster Detectives on October 31st.
You're watching Shriekin Weekend on Nick.
2006 follows suit from the previous years and gets started with their spooky premieres early in the year. Starting on March 18th, Drake and Josh premiered Alien Invasion. Then, on May 5th, was SpongeBob SquarePants Ghost Host. Followed by NickAtNite's Mad About You, The Unplanned Child on May 11th. The final edition before October was News Radio, Halloween on August 8th. The first premiere in October was on the 19th with the Backyardigans, The Swamp Creature. This was included in NickJr's Haunted Halloween, held during October 23rd through the 26th. This featured premieres of the Backyardigans, Scared of You on the 23rd, Lazy Town, Haunted Castle on the 24th, Wow Wow Wubsy, Monster Madness on the 25th, and the Wonder Pets Save the Black Kitten on the 26th. This would be the last Shriekin Weekend for a brief hiatus, in 2006 being held from October 27th to the 29th. This year, viewers could submit scream scenes through nick.com/boo, which were scary scenes with custom backgrounds, characters, sound effects, dialogue, and animation. The premieres with Shriekin Weekend started off with Nicktoons' Mr. Meaty, Nosferatines, and The X's The Haunting of Home Base on the 27th, as well as Kappa Mikey, The Phantom of the Soundstage on the 28th. With the last being Teen Nick premiering Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, Halloween, Vampires, Ghosts, Werewolves, and Zombies on the 29th. The last two editions came to NickAtNite, starting with Hijinks Halloween Special on October 31st, and finally, A Different World, The Little Mister early on November 1st.
You're watching Shocktober. Nick or treat?
In 2007, Nick introduced Shocktober, with all the premieres this year landing in the month of celebration. This year would also feature a character creator online, where you could combine parts of your favorite Nick characters to form a new monster that could be featured on the channel. The first Halloween premiere this year starts on the 13th, with a Zoe 101 special feature, The Curse of PCA. This was followed by the series premiere of the Nicktoon Edgar and Ellen on the 14th, and El Tigre Adventures of Manny Rivera, The Grave Escape on the 19th. On the 20th, Nick added the Naked Brothers Band Alien Clones and iCarly I Scream on Halloween, with Zoe 101 Drippin' episode airing on the 21st. NickAtNite also had some new additions this year, starting with Home Improvement, Bewitched, and The Haunting of Taylor House on the 24th. Nick also added Tack and the Power of Juju, This Bites on October 27th. NickJr celebrated in 2007 with another haunted Halloween party on the 29th. This year adding Yo Gabba Gabba, Halloween, and Max and Ruby, Max and Ruby's Perfect Pumpkin, Max's Jack-O-Lantern, and Max's Big Boo. Nickelodeon had a special movie premiere this year with Roxy Hunter and the Mystery of the Moody Ghost on October 30th. Followed by later on NickAtNite with another Home Improvement, A Night to Dismember. On Halloween, NickAtNite also celebrated with a Shocktober marathon, including the premiere of George Lopez' Trick or Treat Me Right. There would also be a couple of late editions this year in November, with the first always being shown around this time, and even though it's not specifically a Halloween episode, it wouldn't feel right to leave it out. Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Puppet Master, premiered on November 9th, and All Grown Up, TP plus KF was added on the 26th.
Have the chills yet? Just wait. You're watching Shocktober 2 on Nickelodeon.
Shocktober Scream number 46. It's Dad's turn to cook dinner. Shocktober 2 continues right now on NickAtNite.
In 2008, the Halloween premiere starts super early or pretty late, with George Lopez Halloween Cheer being added on January 5th. Other early additions include The Mighty Bee, Be Afraid on April 27th, Back at the Barnyard, The Haunting on July 22nd, and NickAtNite with Family Matters, Dark and Stormy Night on August 6th. This year continued with last year's theme, going with Shocktober 2, with both years including Shocktober versions of popular Nicktoons characters for the bumpers. NickJr had another haunted Halloween playdate, which lasted from October 27th to the 31st. This year including new premieres of Go Diego Go, Freddy the Fruit Bat Saves Halloween on the 27th, Ni Hao Kai Lan, Ni Hao Halloween on the 28th, and Wow Wow Wubsy, The Ghost of Wuzzleberg and the March of the Pumpkins on the 29th. NickAtNite also celebrated with Shocktober 2, starting with the premiere of Family Matters, Dog Day Halloween on the 29th. On Halloween, Nick had another special premiere, showing the sequel, Roxy Hunter and the Horrific Halloween, with the final 2 additions to NickAtNite Shocktober 2 being George Lopez, Leave It to the Lopez, and No One Gets Out Alive on the 31st, and Family Matters, Stevel, overnight early on November 1st. Stevel 2, This Time He's Not Alone, was a late edition arriving on November 13th.
We'll be right back. Now back to the show.
2009 started with their Halloween premieres in October, with the first coming from Brain Surge, episode 104 on October 9th. This year would also see the return of Shriek Week, which was held during October 23rd through the 25th. During this event, the premieres include The Troop, The Great Pumpkin on the 23rd, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Curse of Bikini Bottom, The Penguins of Madagascar, I Was a Penguin Zombie, and True Jackson VP, The Dance on the 24th, and Back at the Barnyard, Back at the Booyard, and The Mighty Bee Catatonic on the 25th. NickJr had a new event with the Mega Monster Marathon, taking place on October 26th and the 30th, including new premieres of The Backyardigans, The Funny Man Boogeyman, and Wonder Pets Save the Bat and Help the Monster. The rest of the premieres in October would come to NickAtNite on the 26th, with Glenn Martin DDS, Halloween Hangover and The Boy Who Cried Werewolf, Malcolm in the Middle, Halloween, and Everybody Hates Chris, Everybody Hates Halloween. There were 2 stragglers that premiered in November from Fanboy and Chum Chum, with Digital Pet Cemetery on the 7th and Monster in the Mist on the 21st.
Poof, if you want to go out for Halloween, you have to finish your broccoli. You're not gonna have any room for candy if you fill up on furniture. No, I'm wrong. There's plenty of room for candy.
2010 stood out this year, with an early event on May 8th that premiered 3 spooky episodes of shows that would go on to be aired during the Halloween season, called Beyond Belief. This included Victorious, Tori the Zombie, True Jackson VP, True Fear, Big Time Rush, Big Time Terror, and finally iCarly, I Believe in Bigfoot. There was another Halloween premiere before October, with NickAtNite adding My Wife and Kids, Blackout on September 12th. Nick didn't really have an official event this year, just showing a mix of their Halloween episodes and having a 2-day Halloween marathon at the end of the month. The premieres in October start with Big Time Rush, Big Time Halloween on the 22nd. This was followed by a Saturday of premieres on the 23rd, starting with The Penguins of Madagascar, Driven to the Brink, then Fanboy and Chum Chum, The Book Report of the Dead, and Fangboy, Planet Sheen, Torzilla, and There's Something About Scary, Tough Puppy, Toast of Tough, and Share a Lair. And finally, the premiere of the Nickelodeon original movie, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf. Along with this premiere, they had a Nick.com tie-in, where you could design a werewolf character, as well as accessing games and behind the scenes from the movie. NickJr held a creepy crawly costume party on the 25th, which premiered Team Umizoomi, the Ghost Family Costume Party, and the Fresh Beat Band Giant Pumpkin. Next was another addition to Nick at Night with Family Matters Whose Kid Is It Anyway on the 30th, which was included in this year's Nick at Night Halloween Marathon held from the 30th to the 31st. The very last edition in 2010 was a premiere of the movie Monster High: New Ghoul at School on Halloween.
Gentlemen, there is something spooky in the air tonight.
I concur, Skipper. Does anyone else feel extra Halloweeny?
Uh-oh. Feeling a little less Halloweeny now.
Happy Halloween from Nick.
2011 starts off early with 3 premieres before October, starting with House of Anubis, House of Scares on January 20th. Then, on April 27th, Brain Surge added episode 223. The final early edition was The Fairly Odd Parents, Poltergeeks on August 15th. This year featured the 10 Nights of Fright, which was held on October 21st to the 31st. This kicked off with the premieres of SpongeBob SquarePants Ghoul Fools on the 21st, followed by the movie Fred 2 Night of the Living Fred on the 22nd, and Fanboy and Chum Chum There Will Be Shrieks on the 23rd. NickJr had a Halloween marathon on the 24th and the 31st, this year including Bubble Guppies, Haunted House Party, Dora the Explorer, Halloween Parade, and the Fresh Beat Band Ghost Band. On the 29th, Nick added Power Rangers Samurai Party Monsters. NickAtNite celebrated this year with a Nick at Night Halloween Scare-a-thon held overnight from the 29th to the 30th. This included editions of Friends, the one with the Halloween party, and That 70s Show, Halloween, and Too Old to Trick or Treat, Too Young to Die. The final edition this year was on October 30th, where Nick added the movie Monster High: Fright On. – 2012 decided that waiting for Halloween wasn't good enough, starting off in April with a premiere of Monster High: Escape from Skull Shores on the 13th. This was followed shortly after by an event on April 28th called Half-O-Ween. This included Halloween episodes for How to Rock Halloween, Buck and Skinner's Epic Adventures, Epic Haunting, and finally with iCarly, Half-O-Ween. The October premieres all came at the end of the month. This year, starting off with NickJr adding Max and Ruby, Ruby and the Beast, Max and Ruby's Halloween House, and Max's Trick or Treat on the 26th. This was accompanied by the premiere of the next Monster High movie, Ghouls Rule, also on the 26th. On the 27th, Nick had a whole morning of premieres with Power Rangers Super Samurai, Trickster Treat, Kung Fu Panda, Legends of Awesomeness, The Poe Who Cried Ghost, Tough Puppy, Happy Howl-O-Ween, and Robot and Monster, The Bacon Tree / Dark Knight. That night, Nick at Night had a Get Ready to Get Freaky marathon, which included additions from Yes Dear, Halloween, and See Dad Run, See Dad Rise from the Dead. On the 28th, they added another Monster High movie, Why Do Ghouls Fall in Love, followed by the Nick at Night premiere of Jurassic Park. This year, NickJr celebrated with a Halloween block party, taking place on the 31st. The very last spooky edition in 2012 was the series premiere of Dead Time Stories on November 9th. – 2013 had a couple of early additions, with Marvin, Scary Movie on January 19th, and Monster High, Friday Night Frights on September 6th. In October, the festivities kicked off with an event on the 14th, called SpongeBob ScarePants, concluding with the premiere of SpongeBob SquarePants Seance Schmeance. Nickelodeon celebrated in 2013 with a Happy Hallow-Weekend, a weekend that included a Saturday of premieres with The Fairly OddParents, Scary God Couple, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Invasion of the Squirrelinoids, Monsters vs. Aliens, Curse of the Man-Beast and It Came from Level Z, Power Rangers Super Megaforce, Raising Spirits, Sam and Cat, #Doll Sitting, and finally, The Haunted Hathaways, Haunted Halloween. On October 20th, NickAtNite added See Dad Run Halloween. On the 23rd, NickJr added Paw Patrol, Pups and the Ghost Pirate, and Peter Rabbit, The Tale of the Giant Pumpkin, and The Tale of the Fierce Bad Rabbit on the 25th, which was followed up that night by Monster High, 13 Wishes. The final edition this year was Awesomeness TV, Zay Zay and JoJo's Halloween Tips on October 28th. "2014 started with another Monster High movie, Frights, Camera, Action, on April 18th. Then, on September 9th, NickAtNite added How I Met Your Mother, The Slutty Pumpkin. 2014 kicked things off with a new theme that would carry on for a few years, with a Halloween parody song.
You'll laugh until you scream.
The premieres in October start with another How I Met Your Mother episode on the 6th, Canning Randy. Nick would have a couple days of premieres this year, starting on October 11th, where they added Breadwinners, Poltergoose, Nicky, Ricky, Dickie and Dawn, Field of Brains, and the crossover event, The Haunted Thundermans. On the 12th, The Slutty Pumpkin returns with How I Met Your Mother. Then, on the 18th was another day of premieres, including Sanjay and Craig, Tough Lips Tales of Terror, Breadwinners, Night of the Living Bread, Rabbit Invasion, Vampire Rabbit, Rabbit Halloween, and Zombie Rabbit, Henry Danger, Jasper Danger, and Nicky, Ricky, Dickie and Dawn, Scaredy Dance. Nick also had a special SpongeBob Halloween marathon, calling it the Scare Pants Zone on the 19th. Nick Jr. added Paw Patrol, Pup Saves a Ghost on the 20th. NickAtNite added Instant Mom, Children of the Candy Corn on the 23rd. And another Monster High movie, Freaky Fusion, premiered on the 24th. The last edition this year was Nick Jr.'s Wally Kazam Mustache Day on the 28th. – 2015 would start off with an edition in April, from Paw Patrol, Pups and the Ghost Cabin on the 7th. This year, Nick's Halloween parody song was their Fright song.
This is our Fright song. Be here all month long. Get your premieres on.
Halloween party.
Also, going with a new slogan of How to Halloween on Nick. The first to premiere in October was the new series Wits Academy, the spin-off of Every Which Way, which aired all their episodes during the whole month from the 5th to the 30th. Nick also had a brand new original movie, Liar, Liar, Vampire, premiering on the 12th. On the 17th, Nick had two new additions with Power Rangers Dino Charge, The Ghostest with the Mostest, and a special event called Nickelodeon's Ultimate Halloween Costume Party, which was hosted by the cast of Game Shakers and included musical guest acts, spooky cake decorating, Halloween makeovers, and some punkin' chunkin'. The next day of premieres would come on the 23rd, starting out in the morning with Nick Jr. adding Blaze and the Monster Machines, Truck or Treat, Wally Kazam, Dawn of the Zucchini, Shimmer and Shine, A Very Genie Halloweeny, and finally, Dora and Friends, Into the City, Trick or Treat. Later that day, Nick added Harvey Beaks, Lay Corn Maze of Doom, and Harvey Isn't Scary. The next day on the 24th were 2 more additions with Game Shakers, Scared Triplets, and 100 Things to Do Before High School, Have the Best Halloween School Day Ever thing. After that, on the 25th, was another Monster High movie with their first musical, Boo York, Boo York. On the 28th, Nick had a small event with Hallow Wednesday and premiered new episodes for the Thundermans, Patch Me If You Can, and Bella and the Bulldogs, Shibuya. Then, on Halloween, they celebrated with an ultimate Halloween marathon with all their current episodes. There was one late edition this year on November 20th with Pig, Goat, Banana Cricket, Zombie Broheems. Starting off early this year was Henry Danger, Grave Danger on April 23rd. Then, on May 26th, NickAtNite premiered the movie Fun Size. And finally, the last show to come before October was Sanjay and Craig Halloweenies on June 20th. 2016 continued the theme in October with their parody song, this year going with Freak Out.
Watch out though! Don't turn up the lights! Freak out!
Prepare yourself for a month so awesome, it's scary.
It's like Christmas came early, in the form of Halloween.
It's Shocktober on Nick. We dare you not to.
Freak out!
And oddly enough, calling the month Shocktober, which would be the first since 2008. The first edition was Power Rangers Dino Charge Trick or Trial on October 8th. Then, Harvey Beaks Techno Scare was added on the 15th, and Nick had another new special event with Nickelodeon's Ultimate Halloween Haunted House on the 16th. This event featured stars from the channel going through the haunted house with genuine reactions. On the 21st, NickJr celebrated with a haunted Halloween house party, this year adding Bubble Guppies, Trick or Treat Mr. Grumpfish, and Mutt and Stuff, The Happy Hallow Wolf Party. Next was a couple days of premieres with Regal Academy, Attack of the Shortbread Witch, The Thundermans, Happy Hero-Ween, and School of Rock, Welcome to My Nightmare on the 22nd, and the Loud House Spooktacular, which included The Prince of Admission, One Flew Over the Loud House, Serial Offender, and Raw Deal, along with the Spooky SpongeBob Challenge, which had new SpongeBob premieres with The Monster Who Came to Bikini Bottom, Welcome to Bikini Bottom Triangle, and The Curse of the Hex. Finally, later that night was the premiere of Monster High, Welcome to Monster High. The very last edition in 2016 would be Power Rangers Dino Charge Warg World on October 29th.
You're watching Nickelodeon. Keep it here. You're watching Nickelodeon. Keep it here.
2017 starts off with its spooky premieres early, with Alvin and the Chipmunks, Attack of the Zombies, airing on May 2nd. This was followed by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Crypt of Dracula, and The Curse of Sabanti Romero on September 27th, and The Frankenstein Experiment on October 4th. This October, Nick's parody song was Tricky.
Halloween is totally tricked out all month long on Nickelodeon.
This month would go on to have lots of premieres and events, with a Nick Halloween music video maker, and new bumpers including the Nick stars getting either tricks or treats. The premieres continue with Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, Grave Robber on October 7th, followed later on that day by SpongeBob's Craziest Creatures Marathon. On the 9th, Nick premiered a new movie, Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. Then, on the 11th, they added another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode with Monsters Among Us. Only one addition would come from NickAtNite this year, with the Goldbergs' couple's costume early in the morning on the 13th. This would kick off the day of premieres on Friday the 13th, which continued with NickJr's Boo Fest, which included new premieres from Sunny Day, Pumpkin Pursuit, and Nella and the Princess Knight, the Halloween Hippogriff. Later in the day, Nick celebrated with Nick's Tricked Out Weekend from the 13th to the 15th. This would show the premieres of 2 new Halloween specials, SpongeBob SquarePants, The Legend of Boo Keeny Bottom, and The Loud House, Tricked and Trick and Treachery. Next, on the 14th, Bunsen is a Beast, Beast Halloween Ever first aired. Followed that night by another rendition of Nick's Ultimate Haunted House. Then, the final premiere of the Tricked Out Weekend was the Lip Sync Battle Shorties Halloween Special on the 15th. The final edition in October was NickJr's Rusty Rivets, Rusty's Spooky Adventure on the 19th.
You're watching Nick. You're watching Nick.
A couple editions would come before October in 2018, with NickAtNite's Mom, Benito Poppins and a Warm Pumpkin on July 11th, and NickJr's Paw Patrol, Pups Save the Movie Monster on September 21st. Continuing again with the tradition of the parody song, this year Nick went with I Haunt It That Way.
Treat yourself to a month so good it's scary on Nick.
The premieres in October kick off with NickJr adding Paw Patrol, Pups Save the Trick-or-Treaters on October 8th, followed by Henry Danger, Danger Things later on that same night. The Loud House, Jeers for Fears, first aired on the 11th, with NickJr's Paw Patrol, Pups and the Werepuppy, and The Loud House, Tea Tell Heart airing on the 12th, and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Gumbus on the 13th. NickJr had another Halloween event on Nick on the 19th, with the premiere from Peppa Pig, Pumpkin Party, and Pumpkin Competition. Also on the 19th was the 2018 version of Double Dare, Double Scare. 3 premieres were added on October 20th, starting with Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mrs. Cuddles, then Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel, Monster Mix-Up, and Night Squad, Fright Night. The final 2 premieres for 2018 in October were SpongeBob SquarePants, The Night Patty on October 21st, and The Dude Perfect Show, Trick Shots and Treats on the 27th. The last edition this year was the premiere of Hotel Transylvania on November 16th.
You're watching Nick. You're watching Nick.
Starting off right in October for 2019, this year Nick adopted a title for its spooky month, which it would keep for a few years, going with HalloScream. This year had an original song. I don't think it's a parody, but I could be wrong.
Fighters, get 'em off, get 'em off, get 'em off! Screams are loud, no you're not dreaming. NickJr's team is freaking, all that's got you hollow screaming. Let's see how react. We've got spearheads, ghouls, and demons. Seen us got to trick you straight and double dare you to stop screaming. Let's see how react. I'm taking clout.
The premieres in 2019 start with NickJr adding Paw Patrol, Pups Save a Bat Family, and Pups Save a Mud Monster, and Abby Hatcher, Trick or Treat Otis on October 4th. Nick would revive a Halloween classic this year, bringing Are You Afraid of the Dark back for another season, subtitled Carnival of Doom, which lasted from October 11th to the 25th. On the 12th, Nick had 3 premieres, with SpongeBob SquarePants, The Ghost of Plankton, and A Cabin in the Kelp, followed by Henry Danger, Story Tank, and All That, Episode 11.10, or Give Me All Your Candy. The next edition came from NickAtNite with The King of Queens, Tick or Treat on October 15th. Then, NickJr. added Ryan's Mystery Playdate, Ryan's Spooky Playdate on the 18th. The 19th would see another day of premieres with Power Rangers, Beast Morphers, Hypnotic Halloween, The Loud House, Tales of Woe, and The Last Loud on Earth, and The Casa Grandes, New Haunts, and Croaked. Next was 44 Cats, Scaredy Cats on October 20th, followed by a week of premieres with 2018's Double Dare's Halloween Week from the 21st to the 24th. The very last edition this year was NickJr's Ricky Zoom, Wheel-O-Ween, and Zoom Encounters on October 25th.
We'll be right back.
Keep an eye out for more Nick.
Again, no Halloween editions before October in 2020. This year, they celebrated with another month of HalloScream with a new parody song, Blinding Frights. The premieres start right at the beginning of the month with SpongeBob's Spookiest Scenes Countdown Special on October 2nd, featuring episodes voted in by viewers at home and hosted by Patchy the Pirate. A couple other events would occur on the channel this year, with The Loud House and Casa Grande's HalloScream Smarty Pants Challenge being an on-screen challenge from the 5th to the 9th, where viewers could answer questions through the Nick mobile app when they popped up on screen during the shows. This all culminated in the premieres of The Loud House, Ghosted, and The Casa Grande's Fails from the Crypt on the 9th. The only new addition from NickJr. this year was Blue's Clues and You, Spooky Costume Party with Blue, being added on the 16th, followed by Ollie's Pack, Nightmare Fright Scare on the 17th. The next on-screen event this year was the SpongeBob Code Collector HalloScream Edition, running from the 19th to the 31st. With this event having badges that you could earn by inputting the codes when they appeared on screen. I wasn't watching the channel around this time, but I have come across these code collectors and badges events before. If you know more about it, please let me know in the comments. The next edition was Unleashed, Scary Chickens, Rat Tricks, and Dog Treats Oh My on the 22nd. Then, It's Pony, Scarecrow was added on the 23rd. NickJr. celebrated on the channel this year with another Boo Bash, this time taking place all week from the 26th to the 30th. The final editions in 2020 were all part of Nick's HalloScream Party on the 31st, which included new episodes for Unfiltered, Happy Slime-O-Ween, Group Chat with Jaden and Brent, Sliming for Apples, and finally, The Substitute, Baby Ariel.
That's the ghoulish phrase, trick or treat. Get it? Trick or treat. Food. Happy HalloScream.
Contrary to 2020, 2021 had many spooky premieres before October. Starting out in February, Nick had an event from the 13th to the 14th with their Love to Be Scared weekend. They showed Halloween episodes of many shows and featured the next season of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Curse of the Shadows, premiering on the 12th. Also in February was NickJr. adding Santiago of the Seas, Cecilia and the Ghost Ship on the 19th. Next, jumping to April, were Barbarian and the Troll, Blood, Sweat, and Fears on the 16th, and Season of the Witch on the 23rd. On May 15th, Nick added Drama Club, The Phantom of Farth Auditorium, Danger Force, Swag is Haunted on June 26th. Then, the final edition before October was The Patrick Star Show, The Haunting of Star House on July 30th. This year continued the theme of HalloScream.
Upon Nick HalloScream, throughout this month of Halloween, beware of all the freaky features knocking at your door. You're scared so sick and twisted you'll be shouting, "Give me more!"
This is a family program.
Yes, Nick HalloScream's all yours.
See you tonight.
All new, all month long, HalloScream on Nick.
This included new bumpers of Did You Know facts about the season, as well as a few different Halloween inspirations to get festive. The first edition in October was Power Rangers Dino Fury Mix Scary Manor on the 2nd. This was followed by NickAtNite adding Young Sheldon, 7 Deadly Sins, and a small Carl Sagan on the 3rd, and Mike and Molly Happy Halloween on the 12th. October 15th would be the first day of Halloween premieres this year, starting with The Smurfs, The Scariest Smurf, then The Loud House, Fright Bite, and The Casagrandes, Curse of the Candy Goblin, Tuned In, Alec v. Brandon v. Cameron, and finally a Nick short showcase of the Patrick Star Show with Ghost and Pumpkin Carving. NickJr. had a week of premieres this year, with new episodes from Blue's Clues and You, The Ghost of the Living Room on the 18th, Bubble Guppies, Werewolves of Bubbledon on the 19th, Baby Shark's Big Show, Baby Shark's Haunted Halloween, and Wavy Jones' Locker on the 20th, and Santiago of the Seas, The Mysterious Island, and Mystery of the Vampirates on the 21st. Also on the 21st was the addition of Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, Haunted Halls, and That Girl Lele, Hey Lele-Ween. The 22nd was the second day of premieres in 2021, this time starting with The Patrick Star Show, Terror at 20,000 Leagues. Then, Middlemost Post, Scary Stories to Tell Your Cloud, and The Pumpkin Pageant, The Loud House, Lucy Loud's Halloween Scare-a-thon, and Rugrats, The Werewolf Hunter. The next day on the 23rd was Side Hustle, Scare Bear. On the 27th, Nick had a special Halloween NFL Slime Time with Week 7. The last two editions for October both came on the 29th, with Blue's Clues and You, Blue's Big Costume Parade, and It's Pony, Raiders of the Lost Cinema. The very final edition was the premiere of Hotel Transylvania 2 on December 3rd.
You're watching MonsterFest on Nick. You're watching MonsterFest. Keep it here.
Just like last year, 2022 would start off its spooky premieres with the next season of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Ghost Island, premiering on July 30th. All of the other editions this year would come during October, which took on the new name of Nickelodeon's MonsterFest. The first to be added was The Addams Family 2019 on October 1st. Next, on the 6th, Nick premiered Monster High the movie, followed immediately after by the series premiere of the show Monster High. The next edition came on October 13th with That Girl Lele, Freaky Friday Day. This was followed by a day of premieres on the 14th with SpongeBob SquarePants, Squidfarot and Slappy Days, Big Nate, Ghostly Coven of Man-Witches, The Smurfs, The Magic Pumpkin and the Lost Cat, and Rugrats 2021, Nightcrawler, and Goblets and Goblins. NickJr. celebrated in 2022 with a week of premieres on the main channel, starting with Blaze and the Monster Machines, Monster Machine Halloween on the 17th. Then, Baby Shark's Big Show, The Treat Goblin, and Baby Super Shark on the 18th. Santiago of the Seas, Peekaboo, and Night of the Witches on the 19th. Blue's Clues and You, The Legend of the Jack-O-Lantern on the 20th. And Paw Patrol, Pup Stop the Return of Humsquatch, and Pup Save a Lonely Ghost on the 21st. The last Halloween premieres this year all fell on October 21st. Starting with The Loud House, Great Lakes Freakout. Then, Big Nate, Valentine's Day of Horror. The Smurfs, No Smurf Out. And finally, Middlemost Post, More Scary Stories to Tell Your Cloud.
Magic and monsters and mischief, oh my! It's a Halloween rhyme! Don't ask us why! We'll be right back. It's Halloween on Nickelodeon.
If you're getting scared, then you better call your mommy.
Dinner is served.
Creep it here.
2023 would prove to be a much lighter year in terms of new Halloween content for the channel. They did start early in July with 2 editions from The Patrick Star Show, Which Witch is Which on the 5th, and Camp Coral, Are You Afraid of the Dork on the 10th. Then, on September 28th, Nick had a whole day of Halloween episodes and specials, leading up to the new movie, A Really Haunted Loud House. This year in October, the name changed again to Nickelodeon's Monster House Party. All during the month from the 2nd to the 26th, Nick added new episodes of Monster High every weekday. This also included the premiere of Monster High 2 on October 5th. Only one addition came from NickJr. this year, with Rubble and Crew, The Crew Fixes a Haunted House, and The Crew Builds a Bat House added on October 10th. There were only 3 more premieres in 2023, all on October 25th, with Tyler Perry's Young Dylan, The Wilson Family, NFL Slime Time, Week 8, and finishing with Nick News, Halloween, and Ghost Hunters.
Happy Halloween! Creep it here. Magic and monsters and mischief, oh my. It's a Halloween rhyme, don't ask us why. Creep it here.
2024 would also start off in July as well, with the premiere of Hotel Transylvania, Transformania, accompanying the 2024 Kids' Choice Awards on the 13th. Shortly after, on July 18th, was NickAtNite adding The Neighborhood, Welcome to the Haunting. Then, on the 22nd, was Rock, Paper, Scissors, The Holiday Picture. And Hotel Transylvania 3 premiered on July 25th. In September, NickAtNite began adding Modern Family's Halloween episodes, starting with Halloween on the 17th and Open House of Horrors on the 28th. In 2024, Nick again renamed their October season to the 31 Nights of Fright. The first edition in October was The Really Loud House, A Tale of 3 Parties on the 2nd. Then, on the 7th, NickJr. added Peppa Pig, Spooky Clubhouse. Another Modern Family episode was added to NickAtNite with Halloween 3, Awesome Land, early in the morning on the 10th. Later in the same day was the addition of SpongeBob SquarePants, Creep Away Camp. Then, on the 14th, was the Patrick Star Show, Something Stupid This Way Comes. NickAtNite had 2 celebrations this year, with the first being the Modern Family Halloween Marathon held on October 19th to the 20th. This included the addition of Halloween 4, Revenge of Rod Skyhook, It's the Great Pumpkin Phil Dunphy, Good Grief, and The Last Halloween. A couple of additions came from NickJr. this year, with Blaze and the Monster Machines, The Trick or Treat Treasure, and The Tiny Chef Show, Tiny Chef's Spooky Stump Spectacular, added on the 21st. Next was the Loud House Close Encounters of the Nerd Kind on the 23rd. The other event held by NickAtNite this year was the Friends Halloween Fit Check, held from the 25th to the 31st, showing the best Friends costume inspirations. The very last edition in 2024 was the NFL Slime Time's Halloween show on Week 8 on the 30th.
It's Halloween on Nickelodeon!
It was a night just like tonight. How do I look?
Disturbing.
Creep it here.
This all brings us to the current year in 2025. With the recent acquisition of The Big Bang Theory, the Halloween episodes were added in the beginning of the year, with The Good Guy Fluctuation on January 3rd, followed by The Holographic Excitation on the 18th, The Imitation Perturbation on February 13th, and The Middle-earth Paradigm on the 18th. 2 more additions came to the channel before October, with The Patrick Star Show, The Haunting of Flim Flam House on April 25th, and The Smurfs, Scary Stories, and The Smurf Who Lost His Shadow on September 13th. In 2025, Nickelodeon brought back the title of Shocktober to celebrate the month, starting with an addition from NickJr. with Rex Tim in Space, Astro Pumpkin, Spooky Night, and Diner Store on October 3rd. This was followed up on the same day with SpongeBob SquarePants, The Haunted Bucket, and Go Fetch, The Patrick Star Show, Terror on Tape, and Wild Pack, Mrs. Wither's Parables. On the 4th, Nick added Super Duper Bunny League, Ghosts, and The Gobbler. A couple more additions to NickJr. came from Rubble and Crew, The Crew Builds a Halloween Maze, and Dora, Halloween's Been Swiped, and The Pumpkin Party Mystery on the 10th, and Paw Patrol, Pups Save a Haunted Farm on the 17th. All of the Halloween episodes for The Big Bang Theory were included in NickAtNite's Boo Zynga Halloween event, which was held from October 27th to November 1st. The very last edition in 2025 was NFL Slime Time's Week 8, being held on October 29th.